You know, when you're hollowing out that pumpkin, you might want to get in touch with your creative side. We recently dropped in on Kris Ballinger to see what carving pumpkins can be all about. Kris is a member of the Cluster Pluckers bluegrass band as well as a noted scrimshaw artist. She was kind enough to share some pumpkin carving secrets.
I got this pumpkin a few days ago at a local nursery. I really like carving on big pumpkins like this. It gives me a lot more room to play. I like the surface to be as smooth as possible, and this is a beautiful, waxy, smooth pumpkin because I do a lot of carving on the surface, and to do that, it works best to be smooth like this, not ridged like most pumpkins are. I don't like to cut the top off like most people do because it just kind of ruins it. So I cut the bottom out of the pumpkin instead of the top. This little thing right here is, you can get it in the pumpkin carving kits, and it is great for getting up inside and scraping all the goop out from inside the pumpkin. It's rounded on one side so it just fits really nicely in there and you can get it nice and clean. This way is so much easier because you just put your candle or your light there and just set it down on it. Once I get the pumpkin all cleaned out, I like to try to come up with a design of some sort, and I usually will just sketch something out on a piece of paper. I figured this time I would do like a dad and a son skeleton roasting marshmallows on a campfire underneath the full moon with a tree and maybe even an owl. All of this right here on this pumpkin. All right, because a pumpkin is a round surface, it's not a flat surface, if you want to trace something on it, it needs to be flexible. So I used a paper plate and just held it on there, and I trace around it with this pen, which is just a really sharp little pen. The ink doesn't even really come out of it, but it makes, you know, a mark in the surface of this pumpkin because it's so waxy that I can see. So I like to have some kind of reference, just to, because I'm a detail freak. So I'm not going to try to make it exact or anything, but I just like to know that there's 2 bones in the forearm and there's 2 bones in the leg. And then I just freehand just start drawing, and I'm going to do that. I'm going to just do a real simple outline of the different parts of the drawing that I did. I'm going to put a couple of tree branches that are going to go in front of the moon, which adds a nice 3-dimensional touch when I get it carved. I like to do a lot of surface carving, not all the way through. I have an X-Acto tool with just a sharp pointed blade on it, and like for this moon that I am going to put on here, I'm going to go in and I'm going to just go around the moon, and anything that's going to go in front of the moon, like the tree branches. I cut a line, I don't know, maybe a ½ inch deep, all the way around the moon. And this gives me, when I start scooping off the surface, it gives my blade something to come up against, and it makes a really nice clean cut. And I'm also going to put a marshmallow because this skeleton and his son are roasting marshmallows over a campfire. It seemed like a fall thing to do, so that's why I chose that. But now I want to scoop the skin off and expose the flesh underneath, and a little flat blade like that works really well. Start going at it and it pops off in pieces, and when it hits that cut that I made around there, it stops. The deeper you cut, the more light comes through, and so you can actually get a very 3D kind of effect. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do the daddy skeleton over on this side. So I just take the same sharp pointed tool that I had before, and I start cutting. I do it all freehand. I just kind of look at a drawing to get an idea. The first blade I used was just a really sharp triangular shaped blade. The second one was a flat blade. But now I've switched to a V-groove blade. There's his vertebrae. So there's his sternum. And then he's got his collarbones, or whatever. Get his arm coming out of here. His elbow. The 2 bones of the forearm, like I talked about. He's holding on to that marshmallow stick. There's his hand. I guess he needs some ribs. And there's his upper body. I should have been a surgeon. His pelvis bone. I don't worry about getting a lot of detail. gonna cut his legs, and then we'll be done with him. I spent a couple more hours, maybe 2.5, maybe even 3 more hours, finishing off this pumpkin. I took quite a while just kind of cleaning it all up and, you know, getting it ready to go. I did make this pretty deep because it's such a big, thick pumpkin. It really needs to be cut deep for the light to come through. Anyway, it's done. It looks like this when you have light on, but it takes on a whole new look when you turn the lights off, and that's what we're going to do right now, and light it up. I pretty much stuck to the drawing and didn't veer from that much. I carved the dad and the moon first. Here's the dad roasting his marshmallow underneath the full moon, and I carved this fire. I did it in lots of different depths. Some are just kind of glowing through, just like fires are, you know. Of course, I had to do the little boy, and he's all excited about that marshmallow that just came out of the fire. And he's about ready to jump up and grab it, I think, off the stick. I did him underneath a big old tree, and the bark of the tree I just cut on lots of different levels to give it lots of texture. And the branches going up in front of the moon and all, and then put a great horned owl on there. He's a little small, but but there he is. Happy Halloween!